Hey golfers, have you heard what's new in Pengilly? Come play one of over 600 courses and work on your swing utilizing state-of-the-art Foresight technology, open by appointment only. Follow our Facebook page, Swan Lake Simulator Golf and Club Repair, for information, specials, and monthly tournaments.
Welcome everybody to Ash Wednesday. Welcome everybody to St. Valentine's Day, and welcome everybody to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, presented by our friends up at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. Make plans today to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. As we've talked about, for the long President's Day weekend or any weekend on beautiful Lake Vermilion, Fortune Bay has 172 rooms and a smoke-free resort. Indoor pool for full-service marina, RV park, world-class golf, several dining options, bar, and 24/7 gaming. Visit fortunebay.com for more details and plan your trip today. Ice House rentals are there. Super Bowl is over. Get your game on up at Fortune Bay because that's where the gambling happens. All right, it is Puka. It is the stars of the show, Coach Reed Larson. To my left, your right. Speaking of the Super Bowl, what'd you think?
You know what? It didn't end up any different than the way that I thought it was going to end up, because by no stretch of the imagination am I a conspiracy theorist, but the NFL wanted the Chiefs to win.
Oh, the NFL wanted.
What?
Yeah.
100%.
You show Taylor more.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. As far as explosive football plays, there were more shots of Taylor Swift in the suite than there were interesting football plays in the entire game.
Well, I thought the game was very boring till the end, but
Yeah.
I texted you, I was pre-gaming at the Dutchie. Remember, I texted you, I said, hey, come on down to the Dutchie. Wife and I are pre-gaming. I said, and I didn't want to go through the work of looking. I said, I wonder if there's an over-under bet out there on how many times they're going to show Taylor. So we just made one up at the house. 10 was where we went with, over or under. I took the over. We counted 16, myself and my teenage daughter. So if you have anything more than that or anything different, let us know in the comments. But halftime show.
Blah.
That's what I thought.
It was, honestly, I couldn't care less about any of the Usher songs until Lil Jon came on there. And, who was the other one that came on there?
Ludacris.
Luda. That actually was good when those guys, it was a pretty epic fail until those guys came on at the end. And I was like, yeah, now this is going someplace. Otherwise, take care.
Yeah, I saw it seemed like the first few reactions on social media were good, but then from there it really dropped off. And that's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was bad. That Usher did all right, but it just, I don't know, the hype around that. I think that kind of jumped the shark. I mean, the halftime show. And I've heard that artists pay for that spot now. So you pay for the publicity. 124 million, what I heard, worldwide viewed the Super Bowl.
I saw something on social media that Usher got paid $675, but all of the different royalties from things that come in could total up to $100 million.
Oh, geez. Okay.
That's what I heard.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Like
the NFL doesn't pay them more than $675 to do it. But then that's what I read. Now, could this be wrong? I know I saw it on social media. Everything you read on social media is true, right? So who knows? But at any rate, they're not getting paid a chunk from the NFL or anybody else. It's the royalties that they get and some of the other things they sign and endorsements they sign from it, and commercials.
Never all
come off of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. All the feeders. All right. Well, we should touch base here real quick for those that are viewing. You can see we're in some place different.
Yeah.
Why don't you take over, Reed? Beautiful new confines here.
Well, you know what? I thought we've been doing a pretty good job of bringing the show to you from my classroom, and with a backdrop. For a couple of years, we had a backdrop with Blue Eye Brews when we had them as a sponsor. We've had the backdrop with the jerseys in the background. I thought, what better than to bring a backdrop of an arena in the background, and then we've got the brand new Yanmar suite here at Yanmar Arena here in Grand Rapids, and Dale Anderson, our rink manager, was nice enough to say, yeah, go ahead, if you want to do them there. Wednesday nights are free. I don't think anybody's going to complain if you're using the Yanmar suite. So perfect place to do it. There's hockey going on in the background. You got Yanmar right here on my side, and you got some banners right there, the old Thunderhawk banners in the background. So I think it's the perfect background for us to talk hockey, especially the type of hockey we're going to be talking here today as we're winding up and getting into playoffs.
Yeah, totally. We're week 13, episode 80. So like I said, 13 weeks in, or episode 80, 13 weeks in, and we're officially a day or so away from playoff hockey. Really, there's a few games tomorrow night. I think that basically will wrap things up for the regular season with boys high school hockey. All right, subs this week, subscribers. Be just like them. Chad Simons.
Yeah, Chad.
Corey Coulter.
Corey.
Brian Johnson, who we got a real special one here. Former superintendent, Nashua-Keewatin Schools. Former superintendent, Mountain Iron Buell Schools. Former superintendent, Ely Public Schools. And the former mayor of Buell, John Clarish.
Nice.
So be just like Johnny, the Buell Bulldog himself, and subscribe to America's fastest growing hockey podcast. All right, we have a pre-roll ad that goes, the Empress, Mrs. Pogros, known at Cohasset Elementary, and it's the Swan Lake Simulator Golf and Club Repair.
Yeah.
And speaking with them, came across a few gift certificates. Here we're going to do for our subscribers, and we're going to go backward to January 1st. So if you subscribe now or have subscribed since the new year, we're going to put you in a, we'll do a drawing here together. We'll put your name in the pot, pull a name, $50 gift card to Swan Lake Simulator Golf and Club Repair. So we're going to do some simulator golf. We're going to do the drawing in the next couple of weeks. So get it done while it's
Probably
snowing.
wouldn't be good if you or I won.
Yeah, we'll probably won't put our name.
It's gonna be somebody else.
Yes, it's gonna be somebody
But I
else.
wouldn't mind it.
Yeah,
I might actually just go buy one for myself. Sounds pretty cool. And just to be honest with you, it's that short little blurb that your beautiful wife has been able to put on there. That starts to show off well because she's way better looking than the
She's way better. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So if you want to look at something, don't look at us. So here's how you get entered. Subscribe on Facebook, 1 entry. Subscribe on YouTube, you get 2 entries. You can get 3 entries for yourself. So Facebook, 1, YouTube, 2. Unfortunately, we cannot find, or at least I don't know how to, on Apple, Spotify, Music, the podcast platforms. I can't find a subscriber list. So go to Facebook, subscribe. You'll get 1. Go to YouTube, subscribe, you get 2. Like I said, up to 3 entries into the pot. And in the next week, 10 days, whatever, maybe 2 weeks, we'll get that drawn. You want to get that done before spring comes and you can actually be outside. So we want to get you going on the simulator before golf season.
Sounds awesome.
All right. So crush that like button. Let's roll into playoffs here with our game of the week. Brought to you by Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer. And Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction, residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are licensed and bonded, so give Justin a call, 218-999-5957, 218-999-5957. And of course, air conditioning season is coming, so if you need a tune-up, give Justin a call today. All right, we'll hit it up off the top of the Thunderhawks with our game of the week. We talked about trip to the cities, top-ranked team, Benilde. Why don't you give a little recap how things went down there?
Yeah, well, it was 7 hours round trip in a bus and a charter bus back and forth, and a game against the number 5 rated team in the state. And to be quite honest with you, the performance from the Thunderhawks, it wasn't characteristic as to what we had seen the previous 3 weeks. We had talked about it in our podcast that, you know, the Thunderhawks have been kind of flying high and playing good against really good competition, top rated teams like Maple Grove, Andover, St. Thomas Academy, with some big wins. And there was 4 or 5 wins in a row, I believe, if I'm not correct. No, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. And some big ones to note, like we just said, and go down there kind of thinking we're on the road. Let's try to keep it close. Let's keep it within a goal, win it in the end. That's kind of the philosophy of when you go on the road and you're playing a really good team and you know that you're going to have to battle. Is you don't try to blow everything out in the first period. Try to keep things close, try to play hard, try to play tough, hard on pucks to the net. We unfortunately had to take a really big bite out of humble pie. We realized that we have to do the little things, that we aren't as talented as some of these top teams when it comes to skill. The reason why we've been able to compete with these teams is because of the tenacity and the heart of our players and how hard they work. So if guys are going to think that we're going to try to do things like stick handle, get cutesy, it's not going to end. The result's not going to end right. And Coach Clafton said, we've got to get back to the grassroots, some of the key things that you need to do in order to win hockey games, and knock it off with some of the other things, the cutesy stuff, and easy things that some teams just don't want to do. The little things like be good on faceoffs, like block shots, win races to lose pucks, be tough to play against, right? These are really easy to be disciplined, stay out of the penalty box, things like that. These are simple things that you can do that seem like little, but if you don't do them, those little things turn into a big problem. And like I said, it was a big chunk of humble pie. I think that was needed before playoffs. Not that anybody wants a loss. Nobody wants to lose, but sometimes you need a little bit of adversity to learn some lessons. And I think that was some adversity that is going to help us learn.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay. And then how about Hermantown last night?
Yeah, the score ended up 4-1. Actually, it was at the first period, it was pretty much all Thunderhawks last night. Rapids took it to Hermantown in the first period. It was a lot of offense. There was a lot of things coming at Dan Callaway down in the north end of Yanmar Arena down there. Rapids takes the 1-0 lead, and they've got a little confidence going into the locker room. And after the first period, then it was kind of back to some of the same things that we were seeing down at Benilde St. Margaret. One of the things that you got to give credit to Hermantown for is if you don't get pucks behind their defensemen, their D really are the tail that wagged the dog, to be honest with you. Their D are really good. And if you don't get pucks behind them and force them to turn and chase pucks, if you're going to get it right to them and they can just quick turn it up ice, their transition is really quick. And they're fast coming through the neutral zone. Fortunately for us, they didn't score on the rush, but they did transition quickly on us and caught some odd man rushes. And it was one of those nights where they didn't score on those odd man rushes, but they got a lot of momentum from them. Yeah. They got zone time. We had to be forced to get out of the zone. Carter was forced to make saves. It was the second period was all controlled by Hermantown. And it was shortly after Dane Callaway kind of took a nick in the hand. Goaltender, excuse me, the Gunderson line makes a nice rush to the net. You got Gus Drennan, you got Nate Langlois, you got Caleb Gunderson making a hard push to goaltender Dane Callaway. And for whatever reason, Callaway kind of flies back and his helmet comes off and his gloves come off. The puck is laying there, and one of the defenders, I'm not sure if it was Henry Peterson or Esterbrooks or whoever it was, they kind of poke at it with the stick and they get the puck and they cover it, but Callaway has his glove off and he nicks his finger.
Yeah. And
his finger's cut. And he quick gets up, runs over the bench. He knows exactly where Kevin Friesen is, our trainer, right over on our bench, goes right over and, covers it, and they start wrapping it. It was literally probably a 7 or 8 minute timeout.
Yeah, it was quite a while. I remember I was streaming that one.
You can have whatever opinion you want with this. Obviously, safety of the player is an important thing. You want to make sure you take the time to be able to take care of things. It seemed to me that the bleeding was under control. You got it all wrapped up and this and that. The question that needs to be asked is how long of a timeout do you get to get that goalie back in the net? Can you get the other goalie in the net, patch this guy up, and then get him back in the net? Where's that line? Maybe people can comment on that. I don't know exactly what that was, but to be dead honest with you, not that this was intentional, because it wasn't. Nobody wants to get their finger cut.
Right.
But
and that clearly was bleeding.
That was a turning point in the game. They literally took control of the game after that. It was everything Hermantown the rest of the night from that point on. There was still some chances for Rapids to make plays, but they just couldn't create the offense to pop another one in. And the goals that Hermantown scored, 2 of them were shots from the point. They're really good on the D side, on the back end. Henry Peterson committed to St. Thomas. You got Will Esterbrooks and you got Drew Nelson, who are really good. And their depth players on the back end are really good too. And of course, it didn't hurt that they had AJ Francisco back in the lineup. He's a big part of the success they've had recently. He was gone for 3 weeks to a month for that Youth Olympics. So him back in the lineup created some more offense for those guys. And 2 goals shot from the point. One was scored on the power play, and one was kind of scored on a turnover that Rapids had, on their own blue line, ended up in the back of our net. That's just the way it works. So wasn't a fantastic outcome for Rapids. It was another shot like, hey, we better figure out, we were good for 1 period or maybe a period and a half, but we need to figure out how to do this for 3 periods and be ready to go as we go deep into the playoffs here. So a couple of games back to back where you didn't get a real good performance at all in Benilde. And you didn't get an entire game. In fact, you only got about a period or so-ish of great performance and 2 other periods that weren't great. So there's going to be some things that, we already started with today in practice that we're going to have to get better at. And I think that the staff is positive and optimistic about the direction we're ready to go.
All right. And the direction is the playoffs, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit here. First, want to give a shout out to the Blandon Foundation. So the Blandon Foundation is offering, scholarship season is here. We've talked about this before. And the Blandon Foundation has, boy, these kids are lucky these days, has extended the application deadline for its scholarships to May 1st.
And
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Oh, God, they're great. So the Blandon Foundation scholarships offers support of $1,000 up to $6,000 per year scholarship staff. Can also connect you with other resources to help you reach the finish line of your educational goals. Students can use Blandon Foundation scholarships for any type of school after high school, certificate programs, community, technical, or tribal college, and four-year colleges and universities. Students who have graduated or are graduating from an Itasca County school, including Blacktop, Big Fork, North Home, Buganageeshik, Hill City, Northland Reamer, can apply. So can homeschooled or online schooled students would have graduated from one of those schools. Students can apply for a scholarship until they are 25 or have completed a bachelor's degree. So if you have taken some time off and want to return to school, you can still apply and receive support. You must reapply for the scholarship each year you plan to attend school. You can apply in 3 easy steps. Get your FAFSA submission report, also known as the student aid report. Ask Blandon scholarship staff for help if you need it. Get your household's 2022 tax form and fill out the online application at www.blandonfoundation.org/scholarships. We've got in the show notes, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, go down the show notes. We got the link. We already checked it. It brings it right over. So that's where we'll apply. So like I said, applications are due May 1st. So get on it. Seniors today. All right. So another game we were kind of watching last week, we previewed for over at the Memorial Building in Hibbing, Chisholm-Hibbing versus Rock Ridge. That was the one you were on my 9, obviously covering the Rapids game. I was kind of watching this one. We talked about the rivalry. Wonder if the rivalry is still alive. Well, I'm here to tell you it's still alive.
It's still there.
Yeah, the place was basically packed. Not just Hibbing field, but a great crowd. The Rock Ridge parents, students, I mean, they showed up. That old student section behind Rock Ridge's bench was full. Even the student section.
We had cheerleaders on both sides.
Cheerleaders on both sides was good, yeah. And
Yeah,
the
it
student
was
sections were full, which, even in Hibbing, I mean, I watched Saturday's game in Hibbing and they were sprinkled in there. So good to see. Like I said, the rivalry's there. It was hard hitting. We had an ejection we'll talk about. Plexiglass came unhinged. This was a good one. So just kind of a quick recap of what I was watching there. Early in the first, Ian Mikulich, it was basically a short-handed goal. I mean, by the time he got the puck, got it down the other end. He was a breakaway, blocked a shot, gets a shorty. I'll call it a shorty. He was 3 seconds into being full strength. But when he actually blocked the shot, it was still a shorty. Gets a scoring start for Rock Ridge. It's 1-0. Second period's mostly Hibbing. They had some power play help in that thing. They only netted one. Tate Swanson put one on the board. Chisholm starts the third. So it goes 2-1 heading into the third. Chisholm starts the period on the power play. I think, boy, it's a good chance for him to even it up. Mikulich again, kind of does the same thing. Blocks a shot, goes in breakaway, scores. His second of the day, another shorty, breakaway. They go up 3-1, and then the gates opened. Rock Ridge powers to a 7-1 win. Shots were 31-32 actually in the favor of Chisholm-Hibbing. They had some chances. There was one time you've done this as a forward, I think. Guys got him in the corner, about face off. Lower bottom of the circle. He's going to feed it across, the net. There's 2 guys in front for Hibbing, basically just off the goalpost. Rock Ridge guy kind of goes down to block. It gets through, but I think the guys lose track of the puck. And so by the time it gets to them, it goes right. There's 2 guys wide open. I only think one of the 2 moved their stick. I mean, it was literally a 2-foot tap in, wide open net. So they had their chances. Those kind of things happen. But I will have to say, Hibbing looked flat. They didn't look. I mean, a home game, rivalry game in your own building, playoffs in a week, they looked pretty flat. You've got some.
Well, sometimes you wonder when you end the season there like that, and you got, that's been a rivalry game where they play the last game of the regular season against each other every year. Next year, it's going to be in Virginia, then they're going to go back to Hibbing the following year. It's always, but it was always like, okay, this is a really important game for seeding. like now they're not playing in the same section. So
Right.
you wonder if, we always kind of thought, well, is it now that they're not playing for anything? Is it not going to be as big of a rivalry? And that's what people thought last night with the Rapids and Hermantown game. Well, you got single A versus double A, and they're not playing for anything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to tell you that we were actually last night playing for something to go back. That game last night was actually for the Lake Superior Conference Championship. Hermantown won the Conference Championship.
That's
Not,
right.
not very many people are all that excited about talking about it, but I'm sure Hermantown's excited that they've got another banner that they
sure,
can
yeah.
talk about. I mean, we would be if we'd have won it.
Right.
Right. So that's probably what we're talking about when you're thinking, is that rivalry still going to be there? Because didn't think they're playing for anything. Well, I'll tell you what they're playing for. They're playing for that 30-mile pride.
Yeah.
They're only 30 miles away from each other. And they want to battle it out. They still want to have the bragging rights. They want to be able to take that into the summer when guys are doing their summer and spring stuff and their fall stuff. You know, it still matters to these guys.
Sure. Yeah, that was clear. That was clear last night.
I love the crowd though.
Well,
I did watch it. I turned it on after I got home. I flipped it on Minnesota Hockey TV and I watched it on there and was able to, you didn't get any play-by-play. Excuse me, you didn't get any play-by-play, but at least we had the camera and I was able to turn the sound on from the building. And obviously there was some emotion in that game. It was a hard-hitting game, like you said. And there was some emotions. There was some lack of discipline, and maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can get into that. So one of the big things that came out of the game, penalty minutes were 36-6 in favor of Rock Ridge, and then towards the end of the game,
in favor of Rock Ridge, as in Rock Ridge had the 36 minutes,
exactly,
and Hibbing had the
6 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was, I don't know, 5. That's the one problem with Minnesota Hockey TV. You don't know the time. I'd say 5-ish minutes to go. There's a kneeing incident. Hibbing player, you know, I actually been kneed. I've actually done the kneeing, never did it intentional. So Rockridge player goes down. Whistle does get, I don't even know what the whistle was for, to be honest, because I don't think they called a penalty.
No,
on
I
the
think it was
play.
hurt.
I think, hurt, yeah, because players on the ice. So, well, you kind of know more, because you talk. So what Cope Robinson is talking to the ref.
Yeah, I mean, so the player says right at center ice. It's literally right under that big, beautiful scoreboard that hangs from the middle of the Memorial Building. And it happens right at center ice, and the Hibbing player steps up to make the hit. Rock Ridge guy tries to kind of cut back, and sometimes when that happens, you get caught with a knee hitting a knee, and the knee kind of stuck out. I don't think anybody tries.
No, I
do
don't
that.
think it was like
It's an accident, but it's still a knee.
It wasn't a vagrant.
But there was no call on it, so they think there was some frustration from the Rock Ridge bench. There was frustration from players on the ice. One of the captains, Rory Cope Robinson, goes over to talk to the referee, like, hey, are you going to call something on this? I mean, our guy's rolling around on the ice like he's got a half a kneecap now because of this. And well, like, seriously, what are we going to do here? I mean, you've called 30 some odd penalties on us or minutes on us. I mean, you can just imagine what he's telling them. Like, hey, you got to try to clean this up a little bit and give our guys a little bit of a pat on the back for battling through all these penalties. And then Cope Robinson skates away. Who knows exactly what he said? And boom, 10-minute misconduct. So he must have said something not so nice to the referee. Ref dimed him. He's got a misconduct. And then go ahead.
And then he heads to of course, Coach Johnson, Rock Ridge must want an explanation. Well, let's just say referee Perpich, as we know with Brian, he's actually been on the show. He heads over and he's not there for 10 seconds. And
not even close.
And out. So Coach Johnson gets thrown out. I guess my question for you, and you're in that, you're obviously it's Coach Reed Larson. So if you're in that position, is he, obviously emotional? I mean, Rock Ridge is probably up 4-1 or 5-1. They're pretty in control of the game. Like I said, about 5 minutes left. But are you kind of giving it to the ref? Just, hey, I gotta show my guys I support him. I'm here for him.
Well, you know what? There's a time and a place. There's that moment where there's a lot of emotions going on, and your players are emotional. And there's probably a lot of guys that are ticked off because their buddy's rolling around with a half a kneecap on the center ice. And they're probably the coach. There's a time where coach needs to talk to the referee very sternly so that the rest of the guys on the bench know that coach is fighting for us right now. Like, he's doing something, he's saying something. However, you probably got to watch some of the things you say, especially because you just saw Cope Robinson get dimed. I'm guessing Perp wasn't in a very good mood when he skated all the way over there because he kind of beelined it over there.
Yeah.
Like he right over. And as soon as he didn't get 5 words out, and I'm sure got spoken over with some how's your father, whatever that was coming from Ben, who knows what was
Just get a
said.
Super Bowl.
And it
I'm
was-
pretty sure that's what Ben asked.
Yeah,
What'd you think of the Super Bowl?
yeah, that's what he asked him. And I think it's just, there's a time that you gotta let everybody in the rink know you're standing up for your kids. But I'm sure it's, what did he say? How did he say it? I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna say that Coach Johnson shouldn't have said what he said, because I don't know what he said.
Right.
And I wasn't there because I didn't see how Perpich dealt with it. Perp could have probably just went right over there, and he knew when he was going over there. I've seen refs do that before too, that he didn't even have to say anything. He knew before he went over there that he was kicking somebody out because he was wound up. That could have been the case too. I know Perp well enough to know that he probably was wound up himself. That's probably not the case with him, but there are refs before that. You don't have to say anything. They're skating over there, and if you say one peep, you're gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who
Well,
knows
and
what was
keeping
said.
control of the game maybe a little bit too, I mean.
But I do know the heat of the moment in that situation. In a normal situation where the coach gets kicked out of the game, it's a game disqualification for the coach. It's an ejection, typically meaning that the coach doesn't get to be on the bench for the next game.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. Well, from looking at the score sheet and talking to some people that I've talked to, sounds to me like Coach Johnson didn't get a game ejection. They just gave him a misconduct. So that tells me that the score sheet after the game got changed by Perpich.
Okay.
Perp probably went in and said, you know what, things got a little heated. I probably should have had a little bit of thicker skin. He said some things I should have let go. I didn't want to take it at the time. Get out of here, but I'm not going to give you a game,
Yeah.
EJ. So he changed it probably and said, I'm not going to make you sit the next game.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, and that's what I've heard. If it's different than that, then I strike me down. I don't know. It sounds to me like he doesn't have to sit the next game.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this one?
Nope.
All right. So pound the like button. We'll move on to our bracketology for the upcoming playoffs here, presented by Iron Range Apparel, Thunderbird Mall in Virginia. Of course, the ODR line. This is what you're going to want. Now, look, we got the caps. So listen, we're going to be talking about playoff hockey. You want to be ready. When you get your interview, kids, what do you want to be wearing? You want to be wearing ODR swag. So when you get that interview after the game, TV, radio, because radio is on YouTube a lot of times, or newspaper, and you get your picture taken, get your ODR swag. Today, you find it at the Thunderbird Mall, Iron Range Apparel over there, the Gift Buyer's Paradise. If you're looking for something, Valentine's Day is today, obviously. If you're a little bit late, go get your honey or a him, a little something tomorrow over at the Thunderbird Mall. Iron Range Apparel is where it's at. All right, we do a little bracketology, break things down here as we're getting ready for the playoffs. So section 7A, we'll kind of go through. Now they're not done with theirs yet.
I don't believe they're
Right,
done
yeah.
seating yet. I could be wrong.
Because I think actually North Shore plays tomorrow. I think they have
Okay.
another game. So, but let's kind of break down what we're thinking and maybe throw in a dark horse here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or what do you want to do? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe?
I can tell you who 1, 2, 3, and 4 are. After that, not 100% sure where Greenway and the Falls and North Shore and Ely, where they all fit. I'd have to do a little bit more research. I've kind of been out of the game a little bit on that one, but I do know that 1 through 4 is pretty cut and dry. And I don't think anybody on the planet can argue that Hermantown's going to be number one. There's no question about it. They're number one in the state. They're probably going to be sitting in the state championship game, playing against either War Road or East Grand Forks. Take your pick. Or it could potentially be a St. Cloud Cathedral. At any rate, that section, the number 1 seed is going to be Hermantown. There's no question about it. Hibbing probably thinks they have some arguments for the number 2, but I really don't think so. I think that Cloquet is the number 2.
Okay.
I think they're the clear number 2. Hibbing, you got some good arguments. You're having a good season. You're playing well, and but you're a year away from being in the 1 and 2 spot. So I think they're the 3. I think it's pretty safe to say that Proctor is going to be the number 4. To me, that's an interesting number 4, because now if everybody wins in the quarterfinal that's supposed to, that's going to be the rival. Excuse me, the rival Hermantown Proctor semifinal. That is going to be a fun semifinal for people to watch on semifinal. If they play on Friday or when they're going to actually play. I can't remember when their semifinal is. Our AA one is on Saturday.
Did they play them all Saturday? Did they play early? And you guys
I don't
play
know
late?
because we didn't do that last year. Last year, there was a women's game at UMD. So they had the single A's, I think, on Friday.
Oh, okay.
And they had the double A's on Saturday. And we played noon and 2, and the women's Bulldogs
That's
played
right,
on
they were at
the
night.
evening.
That's
So I don't
right. I
know,
watched that.
I'd have to look at
'Cause
it.
that was the Hibbing Hermantown,
Yeah.
it's right to the end.
We'll get the dates a little bit more out to you for semifinal Friday or Saturday next week during the show, because it will be kind of the thick of, hey, people, these are the people that are going to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that point. There's a play-in game here this weekend for both. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that here when we get talking about the double.
And one team we know that's not gonna be playing is North Shore. So congrats to North Shore with probably gonna get the 5 seed. So, I mean, congratulations. I know they've been in the playing game in the past, so, pretty solid year for North Shore. So congrats there. All right, section 7 AA. This one is final. You guys are done.
Yeah, this
You
one's
guys are quick.
finalized.
Would they do a Zoom meeting today?
Well, I think everybody had there was no meeting. All you did when you sent it in is you emailed, the head coach emailed to the section director, which is Sean Rode out of our whatever Road, what's his first name? Road from Duluth East. Athletic director.
Oh,
Road.
I don't know. Okay.
He is the
Also the-
director of section 7, and all the head coaches had to just give their rationale, say what seed they think they should be in their email. This is what we think we should be, and this is why. Come put your bullet points down. Okay. And then you go through and you seed all of the teams, how you think they should be seeded, minus you don't seed yourself.
Oh, okay.
So if you saw yourself as the number 1 seed, drop yourself out of there. Who's your number 2? Because now they're number 1.
Sure.
So that's how
teams.
you do it. So you'd be seeding, there's 10 teams in section 7 AA. We seeded 9 of them in a row. And that actually most teams sent their seed in last night so that they needed to be in this morning by 10 o'clock. They get taken and looked at, they get tallied by Road, then they get sent back. This is the seed from the first vote. The people have arguments. Do they think they should be someplace else? If there's some valid arguments, they would reseed. I don't believe they had to reseed. I think everybody got
Okay.
what
The first
they
ballot. So
assumed they were gonna get or close to.
Okay.
So it came out today. The seating is ready to go, and as of right now, or not as of right now, this is what it ended up as. It ended up Grand Rapids got the number 1 seed. Andover got the number 2. Duluth East got the number 3. Rock Ridge got the number 4. Forest Lake was number 5.
Right.
Yeah, number 6 was Duluth Denfeld. 7 was Duluth Marshall. 8 was Anoka. 9 was Cambridge Isani, and 10 was Northern Edge.
Okay.
So the way the bracketology works is single A will be the same. If they've got more than 8 teams, they're going to have at least one playing in there. The 7 and the 10 seed play in on Saturday for the 7th seed. So whoever wins between Northern Edge and Duluth Marshall will host that. The winner of that will play Andover.
Okay. Yeah.
And the 8 and 9 seeds will play against each other to see who gets the 8 seed. And that'll be Anoka. They're going to host Cambridge Isani. Whoever wins between those 2 will come up to the IRA Civic Center, Yanmar Arena.
Yeah.
And play against Grand Rapids, the number 1
And
seed.
that will be Tuesday.
That'll be
next week.
Tuesday, the 20th. That's the quarterfinal games. And if you start looking at some of the quarterfinals of that section, there could be some interesting games. I'm not going to call any upsets. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to tell you there's some interesting matchups here.
Well, let me ask you this then. We'll start with 7 AA. Dark horse. I mean, who do you think could maybe surprise some people? Then you don't have to really pick the games, but and I'll give you mine too for both. But who are you looking at as a dark horse?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I were one of those teams that were in that 4, 5, 6, 7 range that we're looking at, I wouldn't want to play Forest Lake.
See,
Forest
that's
Lake
what I was
is
thinking.
scary.
Yeah.
I'm serious. They've coming from the team that got beat by them the 3rd week of the season. I can tell you, I'd be a little concerned playing against those guys because they beat good teams and they've got a decent schedule. Beat Rapids the 3rd week of the season. They beat Cole K in overtime. They beat some teams. They've lost to some teams too. I mean, people, they lost to Blaine. Guess what? Blaine beat somebody that was good too. So let's not throw that out there.
Right.
I mean, there's some that I'd be a little bit concerned if I'm playing Forest Lake. Like I would just be ready. Just be ready. It's going to be a battle. There's not going to be a blowout in that game. I'll tell you, that's going to be a 1-goal game either way. between them and Rock Ridge.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
Rock Ridge
that's-
is more
and then,
talented.
See, that's what I've kind of got Rock Ridge. You know, I knew you were going to say Forest Lake, and I kind of like, you know, coming off that. I mean, 7 goals. And I said they've got that balanced.
Yeah.
I said there's nobody that just like, oh my gosh, look at that superstar for Rock Ridge. They just got the balance, and they just come at you.
Well, they're good.
Come
Rock
at you.
Ridge is
Come at you.
talented. I like their goaltending. I like their
Yeah,
back
yeah.
end. They got a top line that has been dangerous up front. All I can say is that line better be scoring goals, because if that top line is scoring goals, they're gonna have a hard time winning. If they're not scoring goals, they're gonna have a hard time winning, because the Forest Lake has got a good goaltender. They do, and they're tough. They're tough to play. Obviously, I want to see the northern teams, because Section 7's always been a northern section. Sorry, Forest Lake, but it just has.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that it be able to give us the opportunity, if we can get through our quarterfinal game, which would be at Oak or Cambridge Isani, I wouldn't mind playing them. To be honest with you. So there's some other dark horses in there too. I mean, not dark horses, but interesting matchups. Like, how about this one at the Heritage for the three and the 3 and the 6 seed play?
Yeah.
How about Denfeld versus East in the quarterfinals?
Yeah. That's a
Like,
cool-
how's the Heritage Center gonna look on Tuesday night? They're gonna be packed or what? How about this one? How about Duluth Marshall and Andover playing with Keenan Smith in the nets? Keenan Smith for that's a goaltender for Duluth Marshall is one heck of a goalie.
9th grader.
Yeah,
Big.
he is good. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why I was like, gosh, I sure hope that we get that #1 seed, because I don't want to play Duluth Marshall right now either.
Okay.
Like, there's teams, they lost 3-2 to Duluth East last night.
Tied Denfeld
Denfeld. I mean,
Thursday, a week ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if a goaltender is out there that can make a huge difference, he's one that can do that.
Sure.
So
Steal a
there's
game.
some interesting matchups that are in there. I'm not calling any upsets. I'm not going to call any. I think, just in my mind, I think the teams that are supposed to win probably will, and they'll make it on to Amsoil. That's just my thought. But if I were playing, well, a couple of the ones that I'm a little bit like, you better be ready. That's all I can say.
Sorry. All right. How about dark horse 7A?
You know, I still think that Hibbing Chisholm can be a dark horse.
Okay.
I still think that they could do some things because of their talent level in there. And I mean, a dark horse to be scary in that semifinal game. They're not going to really match up against, the 4 is going to end up playing against Hermantown in the 7th.
Right.
I mean, they're going to get through rather easily in their quarterfinal game. Both of those, Cloquet is going to get through rather easily. I hate to say it. Hibbing Chisholm's going to get through rather easily. You're going to need a calculator probably to add up the goals that Hermantown's going to score in their quarterfinal game, just like that is in the state tournament when they play in that quarterfinal. You're going to need a calculator probably. But at any rate, I see Hibbing putting up a pretty darn good fight with their second crack at Cloquet in that semifinal. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, because I kind of like Proctor. You know, we
Good
talked
for
about
you.
Riles. You know, Riles all here too. So we talked a little bit about this last week. So Proctor in 2024, 9-2. They're in Northern Lakes tomorrow. So there's another team that plays. So that's why we know single A is not finalized yet. But yeah, 9-2 in 2024. Riles and Nets.
I like
Close,
that.
you know.
I can't argue with that. And I guess if I would have thought a little bit farther along, I could have thrown that a little bit of a plug too. Like, you're talking about a couple of goalies in that section. Like, there's 2 goalies in that section that in my mind, and this is just my mind, who knows how deep it goes, but I feel like there's going to be some pretty obvious Frank Brimsek Award nominees that can be in that section. Dane Calloway should be on the list. That's a Hermantown goalie. And AJ Riles should be on the list for guys that are being considered for the top goalie, senior goalie in the state. AJ Riles could make a difference. He almost did when we had that game on my 9 a month ago.
With Hermantown.
Hermantown Proctor.
2-1?
It was
What was
over, I think it was overtime 2-1.
2-1, yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it kept him right there.
At any rate, I can't argue with you. Proctor could be a dark horse too.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Scores and more. Let's move on. The Ring Sports Bar and Grill, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Use your gift cards. We encourage you during the holiday season, get those gift cards. Time to use them. Breakfast, full bar, full menu. It is now Lent, as you can see from the ashes. Friday fish fries. So get there for the Friday fish fry. Daily specials, hockey-themed establishment. Give Michelle a call, 248-8582, or the ringsportsbarandgrill.com. Let me say that again, the ringsportsbarandgrill.com. And remember the Ring Sports Bar and Grill for your functions, your banquets, your breakout rooms that you need, company events, lunch meetings. You got the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, something like that. They've got the breakout rooms. So get a hold of the Ring Sports Bar and Grill today. All right. So last week I was talking about Wyatt Farrell. I misquoted. I thought he was going for the single season goal record. My buddy Adam Norrie sent over and said, hey, the single season record is Jackson Nelson from Laverne back in 2016. He had 78 goals. But then I had someone else say, no, you're incorrect. He's going for the all-time. So Wyatt Farrell has 48 tucks this year, puts him 5 shy of Ben Hanowski's all-time record of 187. So Farrell's got 182.
5 shy?
5 shy. He's 5
And
shy.
they got one more game left?
And he's got a game tomorrow against Laverne. So
Well, Laverne isn't anything to shake a stick at. Like they're not anything that's horrible. Like if Laverne plays, they could shut that down.
Right.
They could, but if you got a pure goal scorer that's got that many goals in their career, a 5-goal night is not unheard of.
Yeah, so he just needs a little Taylor Swift on his side. Maybe Taylor will show up, So he needs to put together the, he needs that he needs a little bit that Mahomes in him to get her done at the end. But yes, good luck, Wyatt. So Ben Hanowski, 178 career goals. That's where we're at. And then Elsa, I don't know what it is. You could please comment. Ilsa Lindemann, Duluth Marshall. She has moved into a Miss Hockey semifinalist candidate. 57 Genos, 86 points for the St. Thomas commit. So we just want to say congratulations, some massive numbers for her.
Awesome.
All right, scores and more from the week. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Bemidji almost beat Warroad in Bemidji. Last night, Bemidji up at the Gardens, 4-3 Warroad win. It takes a goal by Warroad with 53 seconds to go to get the win. So Bemidji getting close. Tavin James, Ryan James, buddy of mine, his son with the goal. So Warroad over Bemidji, 4-3 up at the Gardens. Ely, 5-4 winners over Moose Lake Willow River. Roseau, 9-2 winners over Duluth East. Now that Noah Ernest from Roseau commit to St. Cloud, I believe. I think he wants to change his commitment. You know how I know?
I haven't heard that.
He's down in Duluth on Friday. 7 points against Duluth East. So he was putting it on for Coach Sandlin. I think he wants to change. He wants to change his commitment. But anyway, congrats to Noah. 7-point performance down in Duluth against East. Denfeld, 2-2 tie to Marshall. We talked about that. Greenway, 2-1 win over Park Rapids. Congrats to the Raiders. Proctor, 8-0 winners over North Shore. North Shore, 6-3 winners over I Falls. Brainerd was drubbed by Moorhead, 8-1. Marshall, you talked about that, the 3-2 loss to Duluth East just last night. That was last night? Okay. Hermantown, 7-1 winners over Chaska. Cloquet, 5-4 losers to Roseau. Here's a rivalry game we got to go see one day. I Falls with the 5-2 loss to Fort Francis. That sounds like another good one.
That sounds like a bad.
We're going to go to the Fort Francis side. We're going to go over and see what they're doing over there. Duluth East with an 8-0 loss to Rogers. Rock Ridge, 6-0 winners over Northern Edge. So, Rock Ridge ends the season 5-1 in their last 6. So
I think they have 19 wins. I think they're 19-5-1.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's a heck of a record.
Yeah, it's been a great year. Chisholm Hibbing, 2-1 winners over Detroit Lakes on Saturday. And the Walleye Scott CFP Edina Hornets update. 3-1 losers to Tonka on Saturday. I believe that was.
I think it's pretty clear who the number 1 team in the state is. And number 2 bounced around a little bit. Wayzata was number 2, and then Edina takes over number 2. And you know what? It don't matter. You can be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and take a look at who is in those sections. Like Wayzata is in the same section as Chanhassen, I believe. Edina's in the same section as, Minnetonka's in the same section as Chanhassen, I think. And then Wayzata's in the same section as Edina and Benilde.
Yeah.
Like you got 3 of the top 5 in the same section and 2 in the other ones.
Yeah.
It's like
want to see some playoff
one of those teams is not 3 of those teams we just talked about are not going to stay.
Right. Exactly. All right. Oh, and real quick, I caught the GRG Lightning girls game here Saturday. Pretty good game against Blaine where they beat Blaine 3-2. I got here a little late. The parents said, we first 5 minutes, Raj, we were just pumping them, then penalty. So gives Blaine a little momentum, but so I think it's 1-1 heading in after the one. Rapids comes out, pumps 2 in the second, 3-1 heading into the third. Blaine gets one with about 6 minutes to go. Makes things interesting, a couple penalties on both ends, but so GRG Lightning pull it off. They are playing Andover at Andover tomorrow night to
I
punch
think the
their
game
card.
is at Blaine. I think
it's in
that's
Blaine,
if that's a neutral site. I mean, he's still gonna drive 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
Grand Rapids Greenway does. I don't know how that's neutral, at any rate, I'm just complaining because I'm a northern guy, but like, how can Andover drive 10 minutes to Blaine and Rapids drives 3 hours to Blaine and that's neutral? Like, why can't neutral be Cloquet?
Sure. Yeah, right. Or something.
You know what I mean?
Moose Lake, Willow River.
Yeah. Whatever.
Let's go. All right. Anything to add to episode 8?
No, just a huge congratulations to the Lightning, for their season so far. And, just like we said at this time last year, when we're talking about you going into the section finals tomorrow, why not go in there with the idea that you can win? Because at any given night, it can happen. Any time. I mean, it's time for someone else to win the section other than Andover, in the girls section. And I'll say that too. It's the same for the boys too.
All right, here we go. We're warming up. Next week's gonna be a big episode. Catch us for the playoffs. So please comment. We appreciate your comments. You want to contact us privately, Goatsportsmediallc at gmail.com. Hammer the follow button, hammer the like button. Of course, you have a chance to win, so do that right now on Facebook and YouTube. 2 shots on YouTube, 1 shot on Facebook. Find us on X, T McGill. Find us under Tea with Ms McGill on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Musi app. If you're looking for us on Facebook and or YouTube, it is Goat Sports Media LLC. Leave a review for us over at Facebook. Merch, $20 for a tee, $45 for a hoodie, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We do all the good stuff. If you're in the doghouse for Valentine's, he or she, we got merch. As a matter of fact, I'm in Bemidji tomorrow. If you want some merch, get a hold of me. I can have it. We'll meet up somewhere. I'm Chisholm, Hibbing, Eveleth, Quad Cities, all that on Friday. I'll deliver it to you.
This
all right?
does look like a Valentine's Day kind of
That's
thing.
what I mean. So if you're
Oh,
late,
this looks like a heart. It's red.
yeah, this year's
You
theme
could
of heart.
pull that off.
Like, so if you're you got a little late, you got a little damage control to do, Tea with Mr. Goes here to hook you up. Just let me know. Goatsportsmediallc at gmail.com. Let me know. All right. And a thank you, of course, to the greatest partners on earth, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Blandon Foundation, Iron Range Apparel, and ODR Apparel, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Aspire Heating and Control, Iron Range Goalie Academy, and Team Minnesota Hockey. So for Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill Show.